My name is Thorn Lai Hong and my student number is 1973700071. And this is my final year project presentation. The title is Explore how to improve user interface in top-view action mobile games. This project aims to discover methods to create a great user interface, and it also aims to create a sample games of a top-view action mobile games with great user interface. In terms of choice of platform, Android is chosen because of the high mobile operating system market share worldwide. And as for comparison, a top-view action mobile game Last Day on Earth is chosen because of the 50, 15 million downloads it has on Google Play Store, and it is the winner of the most innovative game in 2017. And this is a video of the game project created. Okay, so as the video show above, this is the in-game user interface, and just like typical top-view action games, the movement joystick is located at the bottom left of the corner, and the shooting joystick is located at the bottom right of the corner. And there's a button on the top left corner which enable players to open the setting menu to adjust the setting in games. There's also a reload button slightly above the shooting joystick, and in addition to that, an akimbo button is located on the left side of the shooting joystick. And in terms of unique selling point of this game, there is a akimbo button mentioned previously, which allows players to manually activate it, and while it's activated, a shooting joystick will replace the movement joystick, which enable players to control two different guns at the same time individually. Alright, so how to improve the current the top view action mobile game found in the current market. So after comparing the games the game created in this project and compare it to the Last Day on Earth, which is mentioned previously, and this here is the evaluation and the result. And number one is to locate the health bar at the center of the screen, because in most situations when the players take damage, such as enemies shooting bullets or arrows toward the center of the screen, which is where most likely the main character located, and when they take damage, the player can almost instantly keep track of how much health they have left after taking hits. And compared to Last Day on Earth, they located the health bar on the top left corner. Therefore, when they take hits, they have to look from the center of the screen to the edge of the screen, which is in comparison harder for player to keep track of their health. In addition, the health bar might end up blocking the player line of sight, because in top view games, enemies most likely located at the edge of the screen when they enter the player's line of sight, and therefore locating the health bar at the center can prevent the player from getting ambushed by enemies in game. And this is a questionnaire shows that the majority of the interviewees and 46% of them choose to they want to locate the player health information, which is the health bar at the center of the screen. And just a quick summary why the health bar should locate at the center of the screen. Number one, help players to keep track of them during battle. And number two, is the health bar located at the center of the screen is less likely to block the player's line of sight, which improves both efficiency and effectiveness of the user interface. Alright, so movement virtual joystick. This time, however, Last Day on Earth did a better job than the sample game created because they used dynamic virtual joystick instead of static virtual joystick, which means the pivot point of the joystick will change according to where the player pressed the screen. For instance, if the player pressed the top left corner of the screen, the pivot point of the virtual joystick will change to the top left corner. While static joystick, on the other hand, the pivot point is fixed. It's always there. It will not change unless there's other stuff happen which is part of the game mechanic or something. Otherwise, virtual joystick the pivot point of the static virtual joystick is fixed. So why player prefer dynamic virtual joystick when it is used for movement? Because it allows players to change their moving position quick and often. And using dynamic virtual joystick allows players to do so easier. And this here is the suggestion given by the interviewee mentioned in the previous questionnaires. They said that the pivot point of the movement joystick should change according to where the player pressed the button, which is dynamic joysticks. And just a quick summary, why dynamic virtual joystick should be used for movement, because it allows players to change the moving direction quick and often, which improves the user interface efficiency and effectiveness. Okay, speaking of virtual joystick, static joysticks on the other hand should be used for attacking because of the high demands of accuracy. And another quick summary, dynamic joysticks to be used for movement because they need to change the moving direction quick and often, while static joystick on the other hand should be used for attacking, such as shooting or throwing molotovs and other abilities that related to attacking because of the high demands of accuracy. Alright, setting menu. And as for setting menu, if there's a multiple choice in the setting menu, arrow buttons should be used for choosing and changing the choices on the setting menu, because it allows players to change the setting accurately. And have a look of the Last Day on Earth. They have their graphic quality changing using a slider bar, which if the players even have their fingers shake even just a little bit, they won't be able to get the graphic setting they want. While using arrow button, on the other hand, which allow players to accurately change the graphic setting instead of worrying about when they dragging the sliding bar, their fingers gonna shake and they won't be able to get the graphic setting they want easily. And therefore, if there's a multiple choices on the setting menu, try to use arrow button because it allows player to change the setting accurately, which makes it easier for player to use. And as for slider bar, if slider bar is used, try to include a thin triangle as the background of the slider bar, because it enable players to understand how the slider bar works easily. Well, take a look of these two pictures as an example. The volume, when players first see it, they almost instantly understand that sliding toward to the right means increased volume, while the Last Day on Earth, the graphic setting, is used a rectangle background, which sometimes player get confused. Is sliding to the right means ultra good graphic or ultra bad graphic. They won't be able to know it on first sight, and therefore If slider bar is used, try to include a thin triangle background because it allows players to understand how it works easily, which makes the user interface easy to learn how to use it. Easy to be learn how to use it. And for loading screen, try to rotate the user interface element just a little bit, just like you saw on the bottom left of this corner right here, because it will immerse the user interface into the in-game world, which improves the overall user interface immersion because it looks like part of the game. Therefore, if there's a main menu or loading menu, try to apply some tilt effect or rotate the user interface element just a little bit, just like the picture showed before. It will make it look like it's part of the game, which improves the user interface immersion. And as for creating a sample game for top view action mobile game with great user interface, it is considered failed because after the questionnaire, the average all the game got is 64.4% of the maximum score, which is below the target score 65%. In the question where is about the rating of the overall user interface element. However, how to improve the sample games mentioned above, and that's number one. Use dynamic joystick for movement as mentioned above, and number two, use tilt effect on setting menu as well because some interviewees in the questionnaire mentioned that try to make the setting menu element tilt around, like rotate around like the main menu. In addition to that, do not exit the loading screen automatically after fully loaded because uh, sometimes the loading screen is way too fast that the player couldn't even see it, and which sometimes is confusing when you see scene just suddenly shows up and disappear. And up on top of that, try to add a button on the loading screen which allow the player to exit the loading screen manually after it's fully loaded. In and moreover, try to use tilt control for movement during akimbo mode because during the akimbo mode the movement joystick is replaced by another shooting joystick, and therefore the player don't really have much control over the where the main character move around. Therefore, try to use tilt control for which allow players to move the main character during the akimbo mode. And this concludes this presentation. Thank you.